Good Tuesday evening, everyone. It's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here, weather for Weather Geeks. So we didn't do Weather Geeks on Monday evening. I've been under the weather for a few days. I'm going to struggle through this evening's video a little bit, so I apologize in advance if I have to, cough or clear my throat a little bit. I've got that muck that has been going around for a little while now. It seems like everybody over the last week or so has had some version of this. I've had worse colds in my life, that is for sure, but this one is certainly annoying. And boy, the temperature was sure annoying today. 14 degrees, all we can manage. Now, it's no longer the dead of winter. It's not the middle of January. So 14 in late February is a pretty hard feat to pull off when the sun's strength is what it is at this time of the year. The sun is as strong now as it is during the second half of October. And with this recent spat of colder weather, we now are behind average in the temperature department for the month of February. We were running some surpluses, if you will, in the temperature department through the first half of the month, but now we are below average by about a half a degree. And I think February is going to probably finish pretty close to average or maybe a little bit below average. And so that's going to put the nail in the coffin, basically, of meteorological winter and our forecast. The most likely outcome we thought for this winter season was a warmer than average season. Doesn't look like it's going to turn out that way. We're probably going to finish somewhere around 1.5 degrees cooler than the average for the winter season. Now that the end is in sight, coming up in 10 days. It's a big change, of course, from the last couple of years. Last year, almost 7 degrees warmer than the average, and this will go into the record books, we think, as our coldest winter since 10 years ago, 2014 into 2015. 17 and 18, that's the closest we've had to a typical winter over the last decade since those back-to-back cold winters, 13, 14, 14 into 15. So yeah, the forecast went a little bit sideways. Now, we're going to break down what exactly happened with the weather pattern that led to a colder than average outcome or a colder than expected outcome for this winter season. Next week and into the following week, we'll do kind of a winter recap. We'll look ahead to the spring season. We're going to break all that down at the end of the month and in the start of March as well. But today went pretty much as expected. Our forecast was for 14. That's what we had this afternoon. The wind chill also was right on the money as far as our forecast for this morning. We told you -5 to -10. It bottomed out at -10 at the airport at 7 a.m. right at daybreak, and no higher than about 0 for those wind chills this afternoon. We've talked a lot about wind chills, of course, in the winter season. What does this exactly mean? Well, our bodies create warmth. Of course, our body temperature is about 98 degrees or so, so we have a thin, kind of tenuous layer of warm air that surrounds our skin when the wind is dead calm. Your exposed skin is protected by that very thin layer of warmth up against your skin, but it only takes a little bit of a breeze for that warm layer to be stripped away, and so your exposed skin is no longer insulated by that layer of warm air, and so that increases the heat loss around your body and on your skin. And so the wind chill temperature is the effective temperature for your skin when that wind is blowing right on it and you don't have anything to protect you. So that's why we tell you to layer up, of course, when the wind chills are particularly low. And while it is cold here locally this evening, 8 degrees here in the 7 o'clock hour at the Youngstown-Warren Regional Airport. We're heading down to about 2 tonight on average. It's worse in the middle of the country. In between Billings and Minneapolis, we don't have any stations on our map here, but there's lots of sub-zero, even teens below zero air from Kansas and Nebraska up towards the U.S.-Canadian border. This is a pretty good outbreak of Arctic air that extends from the U.S.-Canadian border to the U.S.-Mexican border. Extreme cold warnings from North Dakota all the way south to Texas. You could travel from one border to the other and be in an extreme cold warning basically the entire time. This is what we call in Texas a blue norther. It's when pure Arctic air rolls down the spine of the Rocky Mountains and just east of the Rockies and extends all the way down into Texas. And there's a winter weather precipitation component to this, of course, as well, with low pressure taking advantage of some of that existing cold air. And so winter storm warnings are out from Wichita through the boot heel of Missouri into a good chunk of Kentucky. Boy, Kentucky can't catch a break. They just had historic flooding a handful of days ago. Now enough snow to cause problems there. And this will be a problem for snow and ice in North Carolina and Virginia Beach, a real trouble spot over the next 24 hours. But that system will be a miss to the south for us. This is grazing St. Louis, and it'll be primarily south of southern Ohio. So again, more so down into Kentucky, West Virginia, and the Mid-Atlantic states. Our model shows that tomorrow morning impacting Areas south of Parkersburg, Marietta, particularly down towards Charleston. And for us, just a cloudy ho-hum Wednesday. Now, we will not get in on the act with the snow from that system. What heads our way tomorrow night, late tomorrow night, into Thursday morning, is this kind of upper-level system that dumbbells through the Great Lakes. This is, not a real organized system or anything. We don't have a low, drawn on our map here, but it will be enough to kick up the snow machine for a time late Wednesday night into Thursday. I kind of suspect the steadiest of the snow will be first thing in the morning Thursday, and we go back to more of a scattered snow shower and flurry regime towards lunchtime and into the afternoon. But, this is going to stick and be problematic for some. Maybe some flurries will try to linger into Thursday night, and then we're back to just cloudy and uneventful and cold weather for Friday. Friday will be kind of like tomorrow. As far as how much snow to expect with this kind of a system, this is a pretty typical output on our models, showing a good inch or two, and I think some places might even see 2.5 or 3. The reason the graph model, this line right here, nosedives like this, is because the graph only runs out to Friday morning. It doesn't extend past that. So graphically speaking, the line nosedives like that. But before the graph, does that, it shows basically what the other models are showing. A couple of inches, pretty good bet. This is high ratio snow, and what we mean by that is, we typically think of a snow to liquid ratio as a 10-to-1 ratio. That's just, it's one of those things that we use guideposts, but it's oftentimes not true, especially when it's cold outside. And with the temperatures mostly in the teens when the snow is falling late Wednesday night into Thursday, the ratios are going to be 18, 20 to 1, maybe even 25 to 1. Really fluffy stuff. Really easy to brush off your car and off your stoop and your patio and things like that, but not good for making a snowball or snowman. It's not the wet, goopy stuff. And so instead of that 10-to-1 ratio, it's more like a 20 to 25 to 1 ratio. So the snow shower activity, once it leaves, I don't see any sort of big chance for accumulating snow beyond that through the first half of next week. What lies beyond that is not exactly spring, but we'll take it. Early next week, we're talking about near to even a little bit above average for a couple of days early next week. But, there are signs as we head into March that the pattern just will resist any sort of sustained mild weather. This is today's 8 to 14 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. Now, this map yesterday showed more oranges and red off to the east, but the overnight data last night was colder in the longer range. So it's no surprise that they have some blues carved out across the Great Lakes and the Northeast. I think this is the right idea. I do suspect March will start on a fairly chilly note. There may be a mild day here and there, but the cooler days will probably outduel the warmer days in early March. Now, some of the longer range modeling would have you believe that the second half of March may feature a pretty rapid pattern change. Take that with a grain of salt, though, because we've seen longer range models try to predict that this winter and it hasn't really come to fruition very often. Of course, it's been as I talked about at the start of the video, it's been a pretty cold winter. So, that second half of March, a big question mark, we think, at this point. We're going to do a March forecast in terms of temperatures and precipitation, maybe tomorrow evening, maybe Thursday evening on Weather for Weather Geeks. So I hope you'll tune in then. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your patience with my voice and cold this week. Have a great night, and I'll see you back here on Wednesday.